Today is the 9th of April 2025. We are in the Passion Week according to our lectionary. I shall read from the Gospel according to Mark chapter 13 verses 14 to 23. Jesus says, "When you see the desolating sacrilege set up where it ought not to be, let the reader understand. Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. The one on the housetop must not go down or enter the house to take anything away. The one in the field must not turn back to get a coat. Woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that it may not be in winter. For in those days there will be suffering, such as not been from the beginning of the creation that God created until now. No, and never will be. And if the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, whom he chose, he has cut short those days. And if anyone says to you at that time, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'Look, there he is,' do not believe it. False messiahs and false prophets will appear and produce signs and omens to lead astray, if possible, the elect. But be alert, I have already told you everything. But be alert, I have already told you everything." The little apocalypse that we have in chapter 13 of Mark's Gospel and its parallel passages in Matthew and Luke is about being alert, being watchful, and being beware of what is going to happen. Jesus, sitting with the disciples on the Mount of Olives, looking at the temple, tells these things to his disciples. It's very interesting to read in Mark's Gospel, chapter 13, verse 14. "But when you see the desolating sacrifice set up where it ought not to be, let the reader understand." Here is a mentioning of a sacrilege set up in the temple in Jerusalem. A sacrilege is an abominable thing in the holiest of holy places, and that is the temple. When we are reading chapter 13, we are reading about events at the time of Jesus. But when St. Mark is narrating these events, he is narrating after these events have taken place. In the words of Jesus, because it's the time of Jesus, Jesus speaks about a sacrilege, an abominable thing placed in the temple. But when St. Mark is writing around 65 to 70, 71 to AD, he is speaking about an event that has already taken place. From Josephus, we know that when the temple was destroyed, when the altar was disrupted, the Romans set up the Roman goddess, the statue of the Roman goddess in the holiest of the holy places, and also they put up a statue of the emperor Tiberius in the temple, and that was a sacrilege. From Jesus' time, it's a prediction that there will be a sacrilege, an abominable thing placed in the temple. But from the time of the narration by St. Mark, it has already taken place. You will see the desolating sacrilege set up where it ought not to be, and let the reader understand. St. Mark is very clever in telling the readers, St. Mark does not describe the whole thing, nor does he blame the Romans, because Christians at that time were a very small minority, and there was always the fear of persecution. And indirectly, St. Mark says to the readers, let the reader understand what I am talking about. And Jesus then cautioned, those in Judea must flee to the mountains. The one on the housetop must not go down or enter the house to take anything away, or the one in the field must not come back to get a coat. The sense of urgency we see here, the sense of hurriedness, urgency, be there where you are. Things are going to happen at the flash of an eyelid. And Jesus says, the days will be filled with such a suffering. Woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that it may not be in winter. Those of us who have been to the west know what winter means when the temperatures go down to minus degrees. But those days will be the days of suffering, such as not been from the beginning of creation that God created until now. No, and never will be. Indescribable suffering when the day of the Lord comes. And Jesus cautions us, be aware and pray that there will be not in during winter time. And if the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would be saved. We heard about the sacrilege. Now we hear about the next important word in this passage. He says to you, and the Lord had not cut short those days, no one would be saved for the sake of the elect. Twice Jesus uses the word the elect, the chosen in this passage. People of Israel knew when they were referred to as the chosen, as the elect. The people of Israel were chosen as a promise that God gives to Abraham. In you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. All your descendants shall be the elect from me. The people of Israel are the elect. And now, in the New Testament times, Jesus is not only referring to the elect of the people of Israel, but also the elect from among his own disciples who will be chosen, who will be elected as his own. Pray for the sake of the elect whom he chose. He has cut short those days. False messiahs and false prophets will appear and produce signs and omens to lead astray, if possible, the elect. Even the elect can be led astray, but be alert. Jesus says, I have already told you everything. When we read this chapter of 13, the little apocalypse in the synoptic gospels, are we not alarmed reading about these things? Sometimes in our own lifetime these things might take place. We never know. But certainly the day of the Lord will come. The day of the apocalypse will come. And the day of the judgment will come. And Jesus says, be alert. I have already told you everything. Let us not be cautious. Let us not take things for granted. Let's not think that, oh, it might not happen in our time. We never know. Things might happen. Then we are caught unawares. And therefore Jesus is so careful about the future destiny of his disciples. the future destiny of the elect, and he cautions them and says, be alert, I have already told you everything. Be alert, I have already told you everything. So be it, my friends. Amen.